Hey, such a lot of bold action going on this weekend because the Danish Nationals is this weekend, as is the Swedish Nationals. So, lots of bold action going on in Scandinavia, and I have the lists. Link will be in the description for the Swedish Nationals for you today, and I've made a meta video about it. So, let's go and see what the Swedes are doing this year, shall we? I just need to find the PowerPoint and get it up and running. Here we go. So this is the meta of the Swedish Nationals 2025. The pack itself is very light on comp. It's a little bit reminiscent of the V2 tournaments that we all used to run. There's a slight nerf to multi-rocket launchers. You can only bring 2, and there's a 16 order dice cap at 1,000 points. 16 order dice for me is a little low. I don't know why the Swedes decided to do that, but it's not massively low. It just, with the new force organization chart, you can build so many small units that having 16 order dice as the cap does limit you a little bit. You can only bring rulebook and PDF units, so they are disallowing the armies of Germany, which is an interesting choice. I did that for my last tournament called Winter War, and there was a huge outcry, and I thought when I went to look at the Swedish lists that would mean that there was less German players going, but that was not it at all. The order dice range is between 11 and 16, so 11 is very low. That is, of course, a Death Star build. And 16, a lot of players, like the most common order dice taken is 16. A lot of players want to be at that cap, which is so easy to do with the multitude of small units. Just take a couple of light mortars and you're already all a fair way on your way to being at 16. 14.8 is the average, which is the same as it was in V2. So the Swedish average has not moved from V2 here, which is kind of interesting. Nations, the popular ones are Germany. Such a lot of German armies, going 10 German armies, and they are actually very good. So a lot has shifted in the meta, going from V2 into V3. Not the order dice count, but which armies are actually like the ones that I believe can actually win and are popular. Germany was always one of those armies where a lot of people took it, but it was also one of the armies where you couldn't really expect to do well. Now, that is not so. There are 7 British armies, which all of them are very different from the V2 armies. There are 5 Soviet armies, of course, many of them making use of the excellent Soviet scouts. There are 4 American armies, and one of those is something that where I was like, this is a V2 army, right? It's a skirmish army with infantry, regular infantry with BARs. Who knew? But the others are changed going into this new V3 meta. And then there's a few we have 2 Finnish armies, of course, making use of the cheap Finnish, the discount on unreliable vehicles. There are 2 French armies. There's 1 partisan army, 1 Italian army, and 1 Japanese army. Now, recently I made a comment on the internet saying that the Japanese have gone from the competitive meta. This is it. And then someone commented, Beachhead was, you had a Japanese army there, you had one at the Jugger tournament. Yeah, true. Very, very few people are running Japanese armies, and some of those people are actually doing well, winning stuff. But Japan has more or less disappeared in the broad meta here. 1 person brings Japanese to the Swedish national. 1 person brings Japanese to the Danish nationals. They're gone. They're gone in the mass, the horde armies that we used to see. The horde armies, yeah. And the builds have also massively changed for the Japanese players. So what army builds am I seeing? Well, I think that the Swedes are expecting very open boards. I think that they're expecting there to be a lot of line of sight, because everyone and their mom are bringing either camping, so that is infantry with LMGs, or BARs that can sit in your back line and shoot the enemy, or gun lining / bombardment lists. There's a difference there. Gun lining is where you have artillery platoons, heavy weapon platoon, heavy. There's a lot of people bringing heavy mortars. Or bombardment is where you have indirect fire only, so heavy mortars and or artillery observers. Like everyone who could take the double tap artillery observers are taking one. So that is the bombardment lists. So camping, sitting in your own backline, passive play, and just shooting the enemy. Damn, that's a lot. Like there are 35 people going to the Swedish Nationals, and 17 are bringing bombardment or gun lining, 11 are bringing camping. Often there's an overlap between camping and gun lining. So you have your infantry is all camping, and then you have a gun line to back that up. So, which is very, very, very strong defensive build. And then people deal with all of that expected gun lining by bringing armor. Like 35 lists, 30 of them are bringing armor, are investing heavily into armor, either as Death Stars or as like multiple armored vehicles, which is what you have to do in order to beat the gun lining, right? Which is why I say that for me, version 3 has turned from an infantry game into a tank game. 6 people are trying out company commanders, although not in the way we are used to seeing them, with a Finnish T20 spam list and then a company commander to keep them all going, or a backline gun position with a company commander like multi-rocket launchers just sitting there snap toing every turn. That's not how they're using them. Most of them are joining armored platoons, so I'm thinking that people will use them to keep their armor moving, which is an interesting idea and something that Alistair has been on this channel championing. 6 people are bringing Death Stars. 7 people are trying to deal. So the Death Stars are also trying, by the way, to deal with all that camping gun lining, because the Death Star will ignore most of the incoming fire, right? 7 people are trying MSU to deal with all of that gun lining and camping, trying multiple small units to try and not be shot at and maybe go under the radar a bit. 2 people are bringing infantry hordes, and I think they are going to struggle. I think so many of the things in the gun lines, the camping, and in the armor are able to kill infantry that infantry lists basically don't stand a chance anymore. That's my assessment anyway. One person, as I said, is bringing a skirmishing list. Also, I think that is going to struggle as well, but we shall see. Rooting for you, dude. And one person is bringing a motorized list. So the motorized, mechanized lists that we have been seeing a little bit in other places are definitely not there in Sweden, right? They are gone. So what are we not seeing? We're not seeing assault lists at all. Like, basically 0 people are bringing anything that can assault. Close quarters is dead for V3. That is what we're learning from the Swedish Nationals. Cavalry, not a one. No cavalry at all. Recce platoons, not usable. They are not being taken. They are not being brought. There is, like, for the Danish Nationals, there's a couple of people bringing in Recce. But for the Swedish Nationals, nah. Not at all. And driving into all that gun lining, I can understand why, because the gun lines will just shoot you down. And if you have trucks or even armored fighting vehicles that have Recce, well, you'll get pinned still by all the small arms fire coming from the camping. Barbecuing is also gone. Not a thing. So all of the different varieties of army builds that we used to see in version 2, we're not really seeing in in Sweden for this tournament at all. What are my predictions? Well, and these are just based on lists. I think that the winner is to be found amongst one of these 5. Now, I know a couple of these guys as well, so I haven't played against them, but I met them. Many of them have been on the Swedish national team as well, so I know that they know their stuff. And I think Johan B with his 16 organized French camping gun line, that is a beautifully designed defensive list. It's really, really good. He can sit back and just blast the enemy off the table. If he gets the right boards, if he gets the right terrain amount, he is going to be deadly. I think also Gabriel with his 16 organized German camping, because he has armor, so he has sort of a hammer and anvil going on, which is, by the way, what I'm seeing in a lot of the really good competitive lists now. They have the backline element and then an anvil of armor that can smack you. That is also a really good list, and it's nice to actually, for once, be predicting that German lists might win the tournament, right? I think Simon, with his 14 Orderdized Soviets, yeah, he is a little low on Orderdized, but he is bringing 5 Su-76s. 5. He has armor, and at the same time he has the AT to deal with enemy armor, right? All he has to do is focus fire. He has to take out one of the enemy's tanks at a time, and he will win. Just based on that, the tank duel, because the Su-76, of course, has a medium AT gun, which is what you need. A movable medium AT gun, I think, is the right place to be right now. And I really like the Su-76s for the Soviets. I have to admit, I like the T-60s better, but the Su-76 is really good. And I think that's personal preference. I dislike having just one shot, but he has 5 of those, so... And then we have Jonas Renlin, who is bringing 14 Orderdized Germans as well. Again, a little low on the Orderdized, but not massively so. And he is also bringing a gun line with multi-rocket launchers. Even though they're slightly nerfed and you can only bring 2 for this pack, he brings 2. And I think with the amount of enemies that are camping in their own zone, that is actually a good idea, because he can, once they're set in their camp, in their gun line, he can start just shooting with his multi-rocket launchers and start doing damage. I also think that Patrick Sable, whom I've also met, stand-up guy, with his 15 Orderdized German camping gun line and armor, again has to have hammer and anvil going on. I think he could do well as well. All of these guys, I think, could be in the top 5, and I think one of them will win the tournament, just based on lists. To all the rest of you guys, I'm sorry that I didn't rate you and your list. I'm just looking at lists and hoping, and I'm not very accurate yet. As soon as I know the players I've played against them and I know the list as well, I can start being accurate. But right now I'm just guessing based on lists and reputations, right? What are my main takeaways? My main takeaways is that I think the Swedes are expecting terrain to favor gun lines for this tournament. I don't know, but I think a lot of them are. I also think that maneuver in infantry is gone, and I miss it. I think perhaps I need to go to Stockholm and see if I can make maneuver infantry work again, even in that expectation, that meta that they have there. Armor is king. As I've said multiple times now, you need armor. If you want to win, you need armor. We are not seeing all infantry armies win at all. And basically, we knew this from version 2, didn't we? If you allowed tank platoons in version 2, you knew that someone with a tank platoon was going to win your tournament. And now everyone is allowed tank platoons, so of course the tanks are winning games, right? Armor is king. Do we need to limit it? Well, if you want to, my Commander's Compendium, link is in the description, has options for how to do that. But right now, I am bringing as much armor as I can, because that is how you win tournaments. MSU or camping is how you try to deal with these elements of gun lining and armoring. And for me, that just sucks. It's not how I want to play. But so I'm missing my infantry that can actually maneuver and win games. The infantry that I'm seeing right now is not game winning. It is just there to stay back and survive and maybe grab objectives. And we're also seeing that the soft skins have completely gone from the game, right? Very, very few people are bringing anything soft skinned because it's not survivable. In this meta of gun lines, of armor, soft skins are just dead. Dead on arrival. So thank you so much, Jens, for sending me all the lists for the Swedish nationals to everyone going this weekend. Good luck. I would wish to have joined you, but I have the Danish nationals to try and win, so I'm going to try and do that. And hopefully next year we will pick different weekends so the Danes can come and try and beat you in Sweden, and you can come and try and beat us in Denmark. Right. That was it. I will be back to you with the results from both of those tournaments. See you next time. Cheers.